Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Vision Manchester, our first community planning discussion. My name is Jonathan West. I serve on the Manchester Select Board. It's wonderful to see many members and familiar faces from our town's boards and committees, but I have to say it's really exciting to see the energy in this room today and how there's a lack of parking to get here. It's great, and plus we are joined by countless people online through Zoom and also watching on GNAT. As many of you know, last year the Select Board adopted an updated town plan that was brought forward by the Planning Commission after months of thoughtful, hard work. That plan has its roots actually back in the early 2000s and was revised to ensure compliance with current state requirements. While there was meaningful public input during that process, the scope of the update was necessarily focused on meeting statutory obligations rather than expanding broader, forward-looking changes. So, rather than viewing that as an obstacle or constraint, the Select Board and the Planning Commission saw it as an opportunity to reset and reopen the conversations with the community. And this time without the pressure of a plan approaching its expiration date. Tonight marks the beginning of that work, a chance to step back and ask what future we want for Manchester and how we get there together. We received 3 strong proposals to help guide this process, and we were extremely impressed by who we selected. Regrowth Planning has already hit the ground running. You probably saw them along the tractor parade, or you've seen them handing out little cards throughout town. They have been everywhere, and that's because we want to get a wide range of opinions and input from all corners of our community. Though the town plan must be adopted by state law every 8 years, this effort is about looking more of a decade or 2 out, and with a clear and shared vision of how we want to move forward together. So before we begin, I'd like to introduce just a few members of the Manchester Planning Commission who are here tonight. Chair David Michelson. Are you here? He's in the back there. Vice Chair happens to also be my husband, Thomas West, here in the front. Leon Ward, who may still be getting a parking space. I saw him out. And Carolyn Alderman. We are also joined by the Zoning Administrator, Peter Brabazon, and Assistant Zoning Administrator, Elias Schroeder. And I see Town Manager, Scott Murphy, and Town Clerk, Anita Sheldon. I'm sure I missed some people, but it's great to see all of you all here. One quick but important note, there is currently a vacancy on the Planning Commission. So if this work inspires you to become more involved, please reach out to me or the Town Manager, Scott Murphy, for more information. And so thank you all for being here. This is very exciting, and for taking part in shaping Manchester's future. And finally, it's my pleasure to introduce Michael Allen, a Northshire resident, along with his team, who will be guiding us through our process tonight. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Okay. My name is Michael Allen. I'm with Regrowth Planning. I've been serving as a town planning consultant for a little over 20 years now. The town has asked me to help facilitate this community discussion about the future of Manchester. And as was mentioned, I'm working with the Planning Commission, many of whom are here in the audience tonight. They're eager to hear what everybody has to say. Joining us on Zoom, we have a number of people, including Emily Gardner from Saratoga Associates, who's part of our planning team. They're here to assist us. You're going to be seeing more of them later on in this process. And together, our role is to really act as neutral moderators of a community discussion and facilitate some ideas discussion. working with the Planning Commission to develop some ideas and see where things go as far as the future of the town plan. Town plans are really an opportunity to stop and take a look at where we are right now and assess, are things going okay? And it's an opportunity to try and maybe identify some course corrections. And as was mentioned, they have to be updated every 8 years because that's an opportunity to really make sure that they're still up to date. They still reflect what's the current conditions going on in town and what does the community like. As was mentioned, the plan was recently updated in May of last year, but due to time constraints with the deadline coming up, there was really only time to update some of the data, maps, and tables and some of the statutory requirements in the plan. There was not really an opportunity to have the plan reflect some of the community input that had been collected up to that date, or even to really make an assessment if the goals and policies of the plans really reflect what we want. So this process right now is really intended to pick up where that left off and continue the public outreach as we're starting tonight and provide as much opportunity as we can for folks to speak onto that and give us an opportunity to assess whether or not the goals and objectives of the plan really match what our interests are, and then hopefully retool the document into a much clearer, more defined, well-defined document than it is right now. So that's really where we are right now. I want to, before we jump into the discussion of hearing from everybody, I want to very quickly just kind of give an overview of what our approach to this is and how we plan to get into it. To make this as, I guess, easily accessible and transparent a process as possible, we've set up an information page that's going to act as like the central clearinghouse for all information related to this effort so that you don't have to go digging for it. It's all in one place. You can access it in two different ways. For one, it's available through the town website at manchester-vermont.gov. You will see in the corner right there, there's a little icon for the town plan update. If you click that, it will bring you to our information page, which looks like this. You can also access it by going to this web address right here, tinyurl.com/townplan2026. I'm going to put that web address down in the corner of the slides from now on for the rest of the presentation. So if you want to write it down or anything, you have that ability. So this is really intended to be a one-stop shop for all the information regarding the plan. So you don't have to go looking for it. It includes information about what the plan is all about, as well as a way to submit comments over the course of the process. We have an online comment form set up. It's going to be available all year throughout this process, and I'll explain how that role works compared to some of the other input that we're looking for. You can submit it now electronically using the button that's shown right there. Click here for comment form. When you click that, it will bring you to a page that looks similar to this, where there's a line where you can write in your comment. It only shows one line right now, but as you type, it'll give you more space to write, so you can write much more than just one line, but don't go all Ted Kaczynski manifesto on me, please. So provide that, and then also down below, there's an optional place where you can provide your email address if you want to sign up for just any announcements. I find it handy in case we need to reschedule at the last minute because of a snowstorm or something. I can send out an email to everybody letting them know we had to change locations or something. Be sure to type in your email address. We had at least one person so far, when asked if they wanted to provide their email address, they just wrote yes. I don't know how to get in touch with them. And then be sure to click the submit button at the bottom, and that will send the comment to me. I check them weekly, periodically. And then there's also, for those of you who don't like or prefer having paper and pen options, there's some seats up here. We also have a paper option to submit comments. We've set up a comment box at the town offices in the Planning and Zoning Department. So right here, Town of Manchester, if you want to drop off or mail any comments, you can address it to the Town of Manchester, attention Town Plan comment box in the Planning and Zoning office at Town Hall, and I'll periodically collect those info and incorporate in the record. This way, all of the comments go into the public record. I'll be reviewing those periodically and then packaging those and reviewing them with the Planning Commission as we go. So as we take in the public comments, another thing that you'll find on the information page is we're posting all materials here. So on the web page, you will have comments, online comments to date. About once a week, I'll update that with any comments that have come in, either through online or paper. I'll leave it there so you have an opportunity to read what other people have been saying. And then there's also going to be, after tonight, meeting notes from this meeting videos of tonight meeting. So if you know somebody who missed it, wasn't able to get here, or apparently maybe even find a parking spot, they can still review what we discussed tonight and provide comments. And then as we go on through this process, we're going to be posting draft materials here for folks to review. It also provides a schedule of what the steps are that we're going to be taking in the process, and as well as some background documents, including the current town plan, the zoning map, the land use ordinances, as well as several studies which have recently been conducted in the last couple of years regarding housing, short-term rentals, mixed use, and so forth, that I think are very helpful in helping to inform this plan. So those are some of the background documents. What we're really trying to announce right now, at least as part of this kickoff meeting tonight, is we're starting with a new vision survey, which we're launching today. It's now live on the website, and it's really intended to try and capture some input on a variety of issues from everybody in town, whether you're a resident, a business owner, a worker here in Manchester. We want to get some input, and I'll explain how this is all going to work. The vision survey can be accessed 3 different ways. If you want to click the orange square button, it will take you directly to the survey that's online. Probably the easiest way to take it. It will ask you a bunch of questions, and you can fill it out online. Again, if you prefer paper and pen, the dark green square, you click that. You can download and print your own copy of the survey and then deliver it or mail it to the town plan comment box. Or the third way, if you click on that, nothing happens. It's just saying you can pick up a copy at the town offices. As of tomorrow, I'm going to work with Peter to make sure we have copies of that available to pick up at town offices. So those are the sort of 3 ways to take part in the survey, 3 ways to take it. We tried to keep it short and sweet. It only has about, I think, 11 or 12 questions overall. Most of the questions are sort of open-ended, where you can write in your own thoughts regarding a number of issues and ideas that we're trying to get some input on, so we can prepare for the upcoming meetings later this spring, which I'm going to explain. We also have a number of issues that we're hoping folks will try and rank in terms of priority, from not important at all to extremely important. We've provided a number of categories or topics that we feel are probably going to be popular issues for people to respond to, but recognizing that we can't have a list of every possible issue, we've provided at the bottom a wild card, if you will. So if there's an issue that we didn't cover up above, you can score, rank your question, and then write in the box at the bottom, what is this other issue? So maybe it's snow plowing or whatever. You can write it in at the bottom, and we can include it there. So you have your own write-in priority there. So paper copies will be available at the town offices. Again, you can drop off or mail them to the Town of Manchester Town Plan comment box, Planning and Zoning office, and we'll take it from there. Now, how are we going to use this information? I'm glad you asked. So our approach to this is we're starting out right now, starting today, with the townwide survey. That's going to run from basically now until through mid-March, approximately. The idea behind that is to try and capture some input on some select things that we're looking for input on. While that survey is taking place, I'm also going to be conducting some direct outreach to some of the local schools to get input from students and their families on a bunch of issues that relate to young families, what are their needs, recreation needs, entertainment, and so forth, that we're looking for input on, and also looking for input going out and doing specific research or outreach with the local workforce, folks that work here in Manchester, try and get some sense of what are the issues and perspectives that they have regarding commuting to Manchester, finding housing, what sort of jobs would they like to see, which is another issue that we're hoping to get some more input on, which we think is very important perspective on all of this. All of the input that we get from this survey, as well as the school and workforce outreach, we're going to be using to sort of tailor together, take some of the ideas from this and start out with a visioning workshop, which is going to be held March 16th at the Taconic Hotel. And based on what input we hear, we can start to put together, get some ideas that we can then, at that visioning workshop, have a discussion of, like a follow-up discussion of, well, let's go into a little bit more detail. How would this work? What would you like to see? And get some more detail with that. Taconic Hotel was nice enough to host us for this. They have a much larger space than this, so we'll have some more room to spread out and have some more space. Then following that visioning workshop, we're also taking this input from the surveys and putting it into a housing workshop, which is going to be held April 9th at the Maple Street School. Again, we'll be using that input to try and inform and develop some more customized follow-up questions and so forth to discuss with everybody. And then finally, April 29th, we're hoping at the Burton School to be holding an economic development workshop, which likewise will start to go into, I guess, follow-up discussion on a lot of the ideas that are developed and collected through all of this. So our job is to take all of this, all of the ideas that come out of this process and pull them together and start to organize, collect and organize that input and put it together. I will be making some draft recommendations for draft goals and recommendation strategies for the plan, reviewing those with the Planning Commission, and we're hoping to then present those to you, the public, in June and get your thumbs up, thumbs down on whether or not you agree with the recommendations that we've developed. And after that, then if we can proceed, we would then roll those goals and objectives into a new draft plan, which we hope to present in August, get some feedback on that, with the idea that that would then follow through with starting the adoption process before the end of the year. Throughout this entire period, the comment form is still going to be available, like an old friend that's always there to listen to you. So after the surveys are done, you still have the comment form. You can submit stuff to us. After we present the draft goals, you can respond to that by submitting comments. So the comment form is always intended to be there to provide you an avenue of feedback, and it's always going to be part of the record. So that's our overall approach to this. And before we get into the discussion, a quick recap of some of the things that have changed, a few of the highlights. These are things I think are useful just to keep in mind as we talk about some of the future here. Obviously, with the COVID pandemic, we had a lot of changes, a lot of folks migrating up to this area, buying homes, buying second homes. We've seen a surge in new home occupations and home businesses, which is a new dynamic in the overall market that's happening right now. We've seen continued growth and rise of more short-term rentals, which is also an important consideration, particularly when it involves issues of housing in a community where we've always had traditionally a lot of vacation second homes and so forth. There's been a continued increase and rise in more online shopping. We're buying more stuff online and having it delivered to us than ever before. And there's been a corresponding decline in demand for a lot of retail and office space during this period as well. And it's something to think about. Vermont, as well as particularly the Manchester area, has seen dramatic rise in housing costs. It's become much more difficult for people to be able to afford to buy a home nowadays, statewide, nationwide, and particularly in certain communities. And also, lastly, we continue to have the growing trend where we have an aging population and a pending workforce shortage. The state of Vermont is generally older than the rest of the country. We have a lot of people entering the retirement age and are going to be leaving the workforce, and we don't have a lot of younger people who are going to be sort of backfilling that demand. And that's something I think we need to be thinking about. If we look at the town of Manchester, the median age has been slowly ramping up over the years. And that trend is projected to keep growing for a while. And that's something, right now, the median age in Manchester is 52.9. The average age of the volunteer fire department here in Manchester is over 50, and they can't keep doing that forever. If we look at just the state of Vermont, the median age is 43, so about 10 years younger. And if we look at the median age of the United States, we're not even on this chart. We're down here off the screen. Oops, sorry. We're down here off the screen at 39, I think. So we're an old bunch. And we look at the age distribution, we have a huge spike of folks that are in the 55 and plus era, and folks that are going to be looking to retire. Comparing that to the state of Vermont, which has a more leveled out, I guess, curve than the town does, we start to see that we have we're coming up pretty short with people in the age bracket of 20 to 35, which is really kind of prime new workforce folks. And we have an abundance of folks that are 55, 60 and above that are going to be looking to retire. Many of them are going to be looking to downsize from their home possibly and find somewhere smaller and more easier to maintain. And we don't have a lot of housing stock for that. We don't also have a lot of housing stock available for 20-year-olds who are looking to move to the area. So these are things that we need to be thinking about. So there's a general need for younger families to be coming here, younger workforce, in part because we're not alone in this. All the whole region around us is in the same boat. We're going to be competing with all the other towns and communities around us for some of this younger workforce, younger families that we want to come in and balance out the demographics. I think an age-diverse community is a more healthy one. So we're going to be competing with a lot of surrounding communities, and we're going to need to find housing solutions for these demographic shifts. So there's also a majority of people who work here locally, no surprise, don't live here either because they can't afford to, or there's not really a lot of housing stock for them. There's not really a lot of young apartments and so forth that really they can work with. So, and just lastly, as if that wasn't enough, we also have the statewide school consolidations, which are happening right now. Manchester's looking to probably absorb some of the students from a lot of the surrounding school districts, such as Courier and Sunderland. We've been experiencing continued development pressure from now, more national chain stores, as we've basically recently seen from the Valvoline application. What is this going to do potentially to our community character, and how do we protect that? We've lost recently now Northshire Pharmacy. We're down to just one pharmacy in the area that's strained, trying to cover a whole region right now. We have changes coming to the way Act 250 is being designed. It's going to change, possibly create some areas where Act 250 is now, we're exempt, and also statewide energy goals. So There's a lot of things in flux right now. I just wanted to that's just kind of some of the highlights. I think this plan, this discussion is coming at a good time because we need to think about how we want to adjust. The change is going to happen. This is an opportunity to try and, I think, direct that change in a course that we're more comfortable with. So 2 questions I want to ask the audience tonight are, what issues do you feel that we need to make sure we look at as part of this update? And as you're coming up to the mic tonight to talk, I ask, think about, in your comments, what kind of community does Manchester want to be? So I'm going to, in just a minute, invite folks to come up to the mic, and so that the folks on GNAT-TV, who I forgot to mention, I apologize, and also the folks on Zoom can hear you. Let's try and maybe keep it brief and concise because we have a lot of people here. I want to give everyone a chance. If you don't feel comfortable talking, we have comment cards and pens, and you can write it out and hand me the cards. And for those on Zoom, if you want to type in any comments into the chat, I will try and check in on you. So with that in mind, I invite folks to come up and speak, and I will take notes as we go along and check and see if I have any alerts saying something's wrong. Somebody just filled out the form. Who was it? Okay. Can I invite anybody who's first? No, okay. Everything's fine? Okay.
Don't have to clap for me. Good evening. My name is Wesley Boucher. Yes, I own Warren's Garage, and the first thing I'd like to say is to the select board of this town, thank you. That's one thing I got to get out of the way. Now,
Is that?
nope, it's probably not, or I'm not close enough. Excuse me. I guess that's all right. It'll smack me in the face or something. Now, I did see a graph up there that I'm a part of, and it was the age of how the graph went down and then came back up in the 50s. And then I was here in Arlington, and I graduated there in 2000s, and I can understand why that graph actually depletes. Everybody leaves here. All the children, there's nothing here for them. That's the one biggest thing I do see. You want to change a town? I understand we got a nice skate park, and the park is great. There's got to be a few more things. That was one note that I had. The other thing is the planning on this town is impressive because over the years of me being here, I have seen changes in a beneficial way. Yet it's still stagnant. So I'm kind of glad this is here, and this is breaking the ice, as nervous as I can be with no speech. Just want to throw it out there, and like I say to the select board that people didn't hear, thank you very much for this. I don't have too much input because I haven't done the online survey, and I just wanted to get my time out of the way so I can actually go eat dinner with my family tonight. So prospectively, I will fill this out, but the age limit, that's one thing that will be noted throughout this whole thing is at 20 years old, 18, everybody leaves. There's not a house that's affordable for anybody that doesn't have a future because they're beginning it. And that's what I did. I left here, I went to Pennsylvania, I saw Tennessee, I saw Arizona, but there ain't no place like home. So all your children will come back if you give them a chance, but that's one thing they don't have from 18 to 25, let's say. That's the one major thing that anybody in planning in this town should affect or should consider. You know, I don't know what else to really say. That was the one thing that caught me because I did leave here at 18, but I ended up coming back and trying something, starting over. I might not have been a college grad, but I sure did try something. But I give up. I gave up this. I'm done. That's all I really had to say was to thank you to Select Board, everybody. That was my biggest thing. And yes, the children.
Thank you.
I will watch this. I'm going to go home and eat, but I'm going to watch this.
Okay, well, call us when you get home, then we'll continue.
Yeah, I hate microphones. I loathe microphones. I'm that demographic that gentleman just spoke about. In January of 1986, I was meant to be here for 2 days. I grew up in Shaftesbury. My parents moved here in '65. After college, I did that thing where I went away. I went far away. I went to another country, and I came back to see my parents for 2 days in Shaftesbury and 2 days in Dorset, and I've been here ever since. I was happily married until recently. I raised 2 kids, countless dogs, countless cats. And yes, I'm part of that other slide, the age slide. One thing I'm hopeful for is if we, before we get too far down in this process, if we can agree on the definitions of some of the words that are going to probably crop up along the way that we're having these conversations. So what's a healthy community? What's a vibrant community? I might think a healthy, vibrant community is one thing, and everyone in the front row thinks something else. I think you make a good point about the Valvoline application or the demise of some of our retail outlets. That was a vibrant community. Valvoline, I don't know, I don't have an opinion, but they obviously saw an opportunity to. So if we could agree on what we mean by some of these words, I think that would help the process. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hi. As a former business owner, we always had problems keeping staff. That was our biggest problem. It hasn't changed. We saw all the kids would come back for jobs in the summer and then leave again, and they would move away. And this is what we face. But I see a lot more people moving back because of the current situation. Why would you want to be anywhere else? So this also spills over into the hospital, which is not the town, but the doctors around us. They cannot recruit enough people to maintain our health needs. I couldn't move my mother up here for years because of that. You know, like, where would she go? So that's something we need to consider also. How do we keep people here? What makes them want to be here? Jobs are one thing, but community, a sense of community, and I know that this is, seeing all these people, it gives me hope and heart, because I know we all care, and we're not going to let this go down without a fight. And look at how we told Valvoline, we don't want you. And not only do we not want you, we're not going to go there. So I know from past experience, because I was a bitch at Alducci's. But there's always the good cop and there's always the bad cop, and I tend to still be the bad cop. As I muttered under my breath to the Valvoline contingent, I would just pack up and go now, because we don't want you here. So anyway.
Thank you. Real quick, as somebody else is stepping up, we got a comment from online on Zoom. They said we should consider the final population estimate and plan infrastructure or infrastructure pathways from the start. Maintain the town's beauty and cleanliness. By infrastructure pathways, I meant locations for underground and above ground structures such as poles, towers, and water lines. So, sorry.
Hi. Introduce themselves, please. Yeah, I was just about to do that. Hi, my name is Lois Burwell. I think part of the issue with attracting younger people here, and I'm not talking 18 to 25, but there's no core businesses here that allow the younger generation to support themselves. So I would look into what kind of industry, and I'm not talking about heavy industry, it could be companies that can provide engineering jobs or AI jobs or some kind of employment to boost the economy that way, and to give people a reason to stick around. Because I know I've got 2 kids, they're not here either. Even if they wanted to, there's nothing for them, there's no jobs here for them in that category. So I would think about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello all. Not a huge public speaker, so don't mind the phone. But my name's Owen Pritchard. I'm a local builder here in Manchester. And I genuinely think that there's only kind of one real issue that this town needs to really focus on. I look around the room, and like the graph said, I'm the youngest person in this room by a margin of 20, 30 years. My pleasure. I had a great friend group here about 2 years ago, a year ago, 10, 15 of us. They all left. They all went down to Charlotte. They went to Portland, Oregon. They loved working here. They loved living here. They loved growing up here. And we all live with our parents. And I'm 25 years old, and that's a little embarrassing. I don't know. But people my age just can't live here. And I'm sure the pandemic had something to do with it. A significant portion of all of you in this room, I assume, bought your houses in the 90s, the 80s, the 2000s. The pandemic came, you all some of you enjoyed a significant increase in your equity, double, tripled your home value, and when the time comes to retire, who are you gonna sell it to? It's gonna be people from Westchester and out of town, and the town's gonna die, and the people that grew up and lived here and loved this town, they're gonna be gone. So, and that bums me out. I don't have my buddies here anymore. So when I look at what needs to be done in this town, in my opinion, it's just housing. You go on Zillow or Realtor right now, there's gonna be 1 or 2 houses under 700 grand, and they're gonna be sold to an investor within a week so they can rent it out to an Airbnb, or they can rent it out for 3 grand a month. So I don't know what the solution is. I would assume it's something to do with density and zoning, but there has to be a way for people my age who love this town, who grew up here, to be able to afford and work. And like the previous speaker said, I do disagree with a little bit. There's not a ton of high-level industry here, but if you're a server and you like working here, you go to any of the bars or restaurants in this town and you talk to your server, where do they live? They live in Salem. They're driving 40 minutes an hour to come get here. If you're going to Mulligan's and you enjoy going to Mulligan's, the server shouldn't be driving an hour to come serve you. They should be able to live and work in this town and enjoy the flexibility of driving 10, 15 minutes to work. It's an issue I'm passionate about because, like I said, I don't have that many friends here anymore because they all had to leave. But I think that the issue in this town is there's not places for people like me, people like my friends, to live and work and enjoy the benefits of being a Vermonter anymore. Thank you.
My name is Carol DuPont. I've been I skied here in the late 50s. I have been a resident here since 2009. I love Vermont. I love the Vermonters. I think you have to be very realistic about this. When I talk to people and I ask people, because I've been involved in politics, when they're working here, if they would want to live here. And I kid you not, every single one has said, no, I live in New York State, I have a farm, it's much cheaper, I love it there. So be very realistic about building your houses, because you have to know who's going to rent the house or buy the house or whatever. The other thing I want you to know is if the school situation does go through the way they're planning it, Manchester will be taking on quite a large, I think it's around 350 students in a mid-school, 6th to 8th grade. They've given me, and I did not ask, they told me there would be 14 buses here a day. Now, I don't know if that means 14 buses in the morning and 14 buses leaving here in the afternoon, but it'll be quite a big change. So just know all those things are going on and they're important. The workforce is the most important. I know that 300 jobs were just, I believe, done away with in Arlington. And if we don't get some business in here, but no one seems to have a business mind up in Montpelier. And that's the most important thing we could do. Thank you.
Anya Matanovich, a resident of Manchester, on and off for the last 10 years or so. I wanted to say one of the things that I have loved about this town is I feel like I've experienced community, truly experienced it for the first time. I've lived in New York and Seattle and LA, and I often gathered with people who I worked with or met through school, and I have experienced what it really means to run into people at different places, and I think it's magical here. So anything we can do to encourage that, I think, would be marvelous. I would love to see more pedestrian-friendly areas in this town so that our kids, the joy for me is like Street Fest when they block off those roads and our kids can run around. That is something, when I tell my friends in other cities, they are bewildered that we could at 5 years old, my daughter was running with her friends because I knew that, Jess could be like, I saw Zara, she's over there, and that's a beautiful thing if we could have more opportunities to gather like that. And more places, I think about the idea of a third place, that there are places we can go to that are not, we don't need to spend money, but we can still gather there. This library is a magical third place, but its limited hours mean that kids and adults, sometimes we struggle. How do we gather, especially in the cold weather months? How do we gather in a place that, doesn't cost $150 each time we go out to see our friends? So I would just love more opportunities where we can explore ways that we can maybe get out of our cars more, especially in this era where everyone is, I think any chance we can for the community to support buildings and businesses to open that bring people out of our own little worlds and to gather with each other more, it's going to be needed these years. And this place has shown me how important that is. So, thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Brian Vogel. I've been a resident of Manchester for the last 17 years. Affordability has been mentioned a few times, and it's going to be an important part of the plan, obviously. There's one thing I don't know how you can incorporate, but if you could send a message to Montpelier, if they push through the education tax increase, which is 12%, property taxes in Vermont will have gone up 41% in the last 5 years. That is not sustainable or affordable for many people. And if you're looking to try and bring families and other people here to work and to live, you can't face those type of increases. We're already one of the highest tax states in the country, and that's just going to make it worse. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tina Victor, and I just want to talk about the situation, regarding the town plan. We do have very specific protective ordinances and zoning. This is concerning cell towers and telecommunication equipment. But the strange thing is, despite having this, thus far, a very good town plan, these big telecom companies come in, like Verizon, AT&T, and proceed to want to put a cell tower, in a residential zone or in a mixed-use 2 zone where they're expressly not permitted. And then the height often exceeds, what the town allows. And so, what we find is, actually it's still ongoing, the more recent proposed tower for Hunter Park, very unsuitable area, right on top of the facility, school nearby, mobile home community. So I guess my point being, there needs to be a happy medium if we need improved connectivity, which is also, I know, important for businesses and all of that, and first responders, but I think we have to determine the best locations to site these things, because they are really ugly. They are these intrusive industrial structures, and they need to be in the right place. And Also, the smaller canister antenna that are now, I think that's been approved, and there's 3 of those that are set to be like pole-mounted canisters. And, you know, in terms of federal laws, we can't talk about radiation and health issues, but that's a concern, you know, in addition to, you know, just adding this kind of industrial element, which I think, you know, people come here for the beauty of our surroundings and the mountains, and they don't, personally, I don't, you know, we have a number of cell towers already. I don't think we need any more, or at least we need to put them in the right place. So that's an issue, I think, for many people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael, if you can hear me okay, I'll pass along another comment that's come in on Zoom.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
So like some people have said so far, the commenter is saying the jobs in the area just aren't paying the wages necessary to live in the town. Her husband and she are both 31 and bought a very small starter home in Manchester last year. However, they were only able to afford that house because they're both working remotely. They love the town so much and would love to join the local workforce and have a real impact on the community, as well as help grow the community by meeting people through local work, but they truly wouldn't be able to afford their mortgage with the salaries that are available to them in town.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I missed that one coming in. Thank you.
It was hot off the press.
Oh, okay. Anybody else coming up next? On the topic of, as the first speaker said, and others, I myself am like that. My family moved here in the early 80s while they built a house in Dorset area. I went to Long Trail School, graduated there after college. I worked here in town for a couple of years just up the street, and then after a couple of years moved away because I was looking for, I guess, bigger job opportunities and more entertainment, social opportunities, and went elsewhere. Came back. I now live 20 minutes away, but that's an issue. There's not a lot to retain younger people, short of against their will. So, any other speakers, comments? Yes.
Hi, my name is Sally Raymond, and I've been living in Manchester for only 5 years. I'm a COVID migrant from New Jersey, so not the popular kind of person for Vermonters, but I do want to give a perspective because it is about affordable housing. And the town that I came from in New Jersey is a commuter town to Manhattan, an old, very densely populated, but an extremely popular suburb. It's Summit, New Jersey, just full disclosure. And affordable housing is as big of an issue there as it is here, and for the same age group. And it's not a lack of jobs there either. So I just want us to hold that this affordable housing seems to almost be a national issue, and I don't know how much we can try to unearth the solution, and that it's something about our fault here. I don't have the answer. I just want to give the perspective that it seems to be a burning problem everywhere. And I don't know if it's going to help or hinder us when we try to unpack how we can solve that for this community.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jessica Rice, and I live in town, and I run a small early childhood program and offer childcare. And just wanted to offer my perspective as an early childhood educator on a lot of the same issues that we're talking about, but it hits a demographic I think that is important. I don't know if you guys noticed in like the age demographic, we have a lot of like older people in town, and then there's some dips, and the under fives is high because people really want to live here, and it's hard. I think we all know that there's a lot of people that are living here with young children are working remotely, and are higher income earners so that they can afford to be living here. I'm from Vermont, by the way, and I did all the things. I did the same thing. Grew up, went away, was lucky enough to figure out a way to come back, and now live here with my kids who go to MEMS. But so I just wanted to say that like affordable housing really affects that demographic as well, because younger families, I mean, it's hard to afford to live here, but also it's really hard people need childcare, and it's hard to provide childcare because it's one of those jobs that's difficult to staff because it's not a high earning, it's super integral to the community, but it's not a high earning profession. I mean, I pay my staff about the same that they could be, maybe a little bit more than they could be making at McDonald's. And it's just the numbers work like that. Like we can't charge families more because it's already very difficult for families to pay. Luckily, Vermont has some really good programs on the statewide level. As long as those keep getting funded, that really helps people pay for childcare. But it's still really challenging. So the ability for people to live and work here and earn or have an affordable place to live, it doesn't just affect like the hotels and McDonald's and the whatever, like childcare workers are low earning workers, and they're super important for our community. So I just wanted to offer that perspective as well. And I was excited to see that number though, because I feel like it's just, we have potential here to retain people. Like people really want their kids to grow up here. They really want to live here. So anyway, I'm glad we're all here together thinking about that. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Kyle Turner. I didn't grow up here. I married into Manchester. But to really hit the nail on the head here, I also wanted to comment that me and my wife, we live with her mom as well because there isn't affordable, rentable options here. We applied for a pre-mortgage, and there's nothing in Manchester that we could afford, both working full-time. But we want to be a part of this community. It has awesome cultural institutions like this library, and it's just fixing the affordability crisis. Yeah.
My name is Melissa Stanton. I am very new to Manchester. I am a refugee from the Washington, D.C. suburbs. And what? Thank you. And lived in Westfield, New Jersey for many years. And just wanted to say thank you for what you guys are all doing for the town and the town that you have been able to maintain as much as you've been. First time I came here, I almost cried when I saw people walking through the town and shopping and doing their errands. Because for 20 years, I had to live in a suburb where I was in the car all the friggin' time and gained weight, actually, because when you're in the car all the time, you don't get any natural exercise. And I go back there once in a while because my mom is still there, and I hate it so much. I hate the strip malls. I hate the big box stores. And, it is going to be a challenge, all the affordability about housing, getting businesses to be able to thrive and come back, but it is so worth it because there are very few places like this in America now, and because of housing developments and strip malls and the way things have gone. So thank you. And the house I did buy, we're adapting part of it so our adult children can come and try to live here. And because, as everybody has said, that is kind of the only way they can right now. So.
Hi, I'm Gail Hollander. I've been coming to Manchester since I've been 5. And so I've seen it through the years. My husband and I moved here about 10 years ago and are just thrilled to be here. But I always, no one's talked about that this was a destination for people to come and visit. And a lot of it was the outlets and things like that through the years in the 80s and the 90s. And we've lost that, and we've lost that because of behavior and online shopping and all of that stuff. So, you know, we have all the mountains here. The question is, do we also want to continue to maintain Manchester as a destination for people to come and visit? And if so, what does that look like in 5 or 10 years? I mean, I certainly don't know, but I know that that destination part, other than a lot of the restaurants, is sort of petering away. So it's just a question if that's something that needs to be incorporated into the plans or not. Thank you.
Hi, hello. My name is Ramsey Gord. I'm an architect in town. I moved here in 1993 when my former wife and I bought an inn. Thank you for teeing this up. We moved here because it was beautiful and everybody wanted to be here. Now that started, let's look back at the history. This does not go back to, you know, the 1980s. This goes back to the 19th century. This has always been a destination, and one of our greatest assets is the scenic preservation here. And so I think that's something that we have to be careful about, no matter what we do. Affordability is paramount right now, absolutely, no question. But how are we going to grow industry, have a workforce, and maintain our beautiful environment? Because there's no place like this. We don't have billboards, we have very limited signage. We have people come to Vermont and they say, wow, this is so different from New Hampshire. And I'm like, no joke. Yeah. So anyway, that's all I have to say, thank you.
Hi, my name is Kel Dahlstrup. I'm a relative, a newcomer. I came here about 20 plus years ago. So Vermont, that's a short time. When I bought my first house, there was in New Jersey, and it was about 1,000 or 1,100 square feet, but it was my castle. I work a lot with Habitat here, probably for the last 15 years now, and we are working on our 44th house in Bennington County. What I like to say is that we need more housing, we need more affordable housing, but we keep on building houses that are 2,000 or 3,000 or 4,000 square feet. My house, I said, was about 1,100 square feet. It had 3 bedrooms, and I was very happy with that at the time. Why do we have to build some big places for starter houses? Can we find a way to work together and build some houses that are really starter houses rather than big palaces that people can, go in for the rest of the family, but a house that they can start with and move from there like I did, and it worked out quite well. So let's think about that when we build houses and construct houses and talk about affordable housing. They don't have to be that big, therefore they don't have to be that expensive. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carl Buckhold, and I want to speak about housing, but I can't let a cheap shot go. This idea that Montpelier is responsible for a possible 12% increase in education tax is BS. What Montpelier does is take all of the individual towns' school budgets and they add them up. And that's the number that they have to come up to fund. So Montpelier has absolutely nothing to do with it. Governor Scott was very clever last cycle, pinning the increase on Democrats because they were in the majority in Montpelier. They had nothing to do with the budget. Every single town school district does it independently. And all the Montpelier people do is add it up, and that's what you come up with. So in terms of housing, it breaks my heart to hear these young people, and I understand it, not being able to afford anything. I moved here in 1976, and like Kel was talking about, I bought a tiny house, but it was $19,000, and I could afford it on a dishwasher's salary working at the Palace restaurant. It's not here anymore. So I agree, all the houses around me now are being built like 3,000 square feet and up. It's ridiculous. It's more house than anybody needs. But I think we have to be creative. A friend of mine, young friend of mine, bought her house when there was this, I think it was like an $8,000 gift from the federal government as a down payment on a house. That's one idea. Give young people some amount of money, something significant, you know, $10,000, $15,000 to buy a house if they're going to live here and work here. Another possible solution, Vermont, I think it's called Community Loan Fund, they're able to lend towns money very, very inexpensively, like 2% interest. So again, why can't we come up with a program like for young people who want to buy a house, find out a way to let them have a 2% interest on their mortgage? It's not impossible. This is just, it's public policy. You know, how do you want to structure things? And lastly, I'm not going to be very popular among the folks who have Airbnbs, but I really think the town needs to get a handle on that. And I know there's no appetite to say, eliminate them, you can't have them, but I would tax any short-term rental property so high that it becomes economically more profitable to rent it to somebody on a yearly basis. So that's it.
Just building upon that one option, the town makes a lot of money on the Airbnb, either directly or indirectly from, it brings a lot of money into this area. One idea potentially is taking some of that money and saying, can we then use it to incentivize local homeowners to say, if you're going to rent to a local long-term lease, not an Airbnb short-term, we'll give you some money to like incentivize that. That's an idea. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No
Go ahead.
problem. My name's Steve McPhail. My wife grew up here, but we didn't get here together until 2011 when we both retired, and we love it. And I lived in a small house myself, so like all of us, probably my age. But if you drive on going towards Dorset and look on the left-hand side of the road, there are two really beautiful small houses right there. Has anybody else seen them? They're just gorgeous, and I think we should have this town look into how they got those houses and maybe figure out a way to make those available to young couples starting out, or singles, whatever.
Thank you. On that note, I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit here.
While you're skipping, I'll just comment on something the previous speaker said about the young person who received $8,000 toward their home. I did as well, so that may have been what's called a first-time homebuyer program. It is available out there at some lenders. It was a great experience, but not something a lot of people are aware of.
Thank you. Since we're talking about the size of homes, I wanted to throw in a plug here for a parallel effort that's happening at the same time that we're doing this town plan. The state of Vermont is proposing a program similar to, I don't know if folks remember the old pattern books of the 1940s or 50s where you could look through a catalog and pick out a house design, taking on that same idea, they're working with a team to come up with new house designs for smaller, more affordable houses, from accessory dwelling unit sizes to duplexes and so forth. Small footprint, more affordable. They're working with the town of Manchester and a couple of other communities to come up with some pre-approved designs that the town would give their approval to. And if you wanted to build that house, you would get sort of pre-approval and streamline the approval process to build that. They're hosting a workshop Saturday, February 7th in the morning. I wouldn't have scheduled it in the morning, but so they're sort of previewing some of their designs, and they're looking for community feedback. Would you live in one of these houses? Would you want one of these houses next to you? That sort of feedback as they develop things. So that's coming this Saturday, 9 to 11, and then there's a 1 hour, 11 to 12 after that, just to getting community feedback. They're working on eventually coming up with these final approved designs that you could then sort of buy out of a book. So that's the idea. I wanted to put in a plug while we were on that topic. So back to any other comments that folks have. Yes.
Hi, I'm Sherry Siegel, and I've been living here longer than I'm going to admit. But I love it here, and I absolutely agree with everybody who's talking about the fact that affordable housing is an issue. So I'd rather talk about some of the things that we haven't talked about. There are things we need. We need infrastructure, we need housing, we need a reliable workforce, but there's also a lot of things that we have that we need more of, that are really great things, and a few people have touched on them. We have community, we have beautiful recreation areas, we have this library, we have great schools, we have decent outdoor recreation beyond skiing and other things that are expensive and weather-dependent pastimes. We need more pedestrian and walking infrastructure. It is a great town to walk around, but the sidewalks we have could use some attention. And we need more bike lanes. We need more safe ways to get around without our cars. We need more places that we can gather together outside of business hours that are the kind of community building places, even when it's not a particular event, but it's just the running into your neighbors who you know. It's that network that makes this place so great. It's the part about this community where you're at some event like this, where there's a ton of people in this audience who I do know. And I know your names and you know my name, but there's also a ton of people here who I don't know you personally, but I know I see you around town all the time. And to build those connections is one of the great opportunities that we have to make this a place where we're really addressing our needs because we understand what each other's needs are.
Thank you. Sorry, to answer the question online, I'm not sure I made it clear, the workshop for the homes is at the town offices, Town Hall, Jeff Williams Way, 40 Jeff Williams Way, if I got the address right. Yes, so, sorry, I'm not sure if I mentioned that, so. Other comments? We have somebody either leaving to go to the bathroom or coming up. I can't, okay. Okay. I appreciate everyone. I hate using microphones too. I appreciate you coming up. We want to make sure everybody hears, so.
Melissa Bell. 2 points. Number one, I'd like to put in a plug for the library. If copies of the survey to be filled out could be left at the library. We get a lot of people coming through all the time. I think it's a great pickup for them. And number two that I haven't seen mentioned is the issue of transportation. It's very difficult to get around town, especially if you are someone trying to get to a job without a car. We have Green Mountain Express, which ends at 5 o'clock. We have other buses that can get you from here to Bennington, but only if you go at 7 in the morning and come back at 9 at night. So we need reliable transportation, especially if there's opportunity to build affordable housing around town for people who might not have a steady means of transportation.
Okay.
And that's it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Katie McNabb. I'm a Manchester resident. I live in one of the kit houses you were talking about earlier. One thing I would love for us to discuss as a community is how do we incentivize more businesses like, I miss the movie theater. I would love to have a bowling alley. Like there's just some basic kind of businesses that tie together a community that we're lacking, but I think we could attract them if we really figured out how to welcome them and make the approval process as easy as possible for businesses to come and start up here.
Okay, thank you. Any other folks? One of the things that we're hoping to get input on when we're doing some of this, particularly the school outreach, is the issue of the movie theater. I mean, we don't have a movie theater in town anymore. What other attractions, things to do, nightlife elements are missing? That's one of the things that we're looking for some input on. I just wanted to kind of mention that, hoping that some of the input in the vision survey will give us some other opportunities or ideas, angles to ask in some of these outreach efforts. So,
Can I say one more thing? I know I already spoke. Can I just say one thing, which is I feel like I would love a chance for all of us to like go crazy with what we imagine this town could be capable of. How do we do that? Like throw out crazy ideas, because sometimes when you throw out a crazy idea, also you realize that there's a sane idea that ticks some of those boxes. You know, like I always imagined, I know that it's not affordable, but imagine if we had like a gondola people mover taking you to different spots in the town. People would come here for that. I understand that we probably don't have the money, but like how do we start throwing out those ideas so that then we can, you know, maybe someone's like, I have a business making gondolas and I would donate some. Yeah, I mean, it's possible, right? I would love, is that gonna happen at the Vision?
well, I mean, we could, in Parks and Rec, we could kaboom it and
Perfect.
see what happens. I'm open to sharing lots, just spitball, brainstorm, crazy ideas. Maybe something sticks, maybe something comes through.
I mean, as well as preserving what we all love about this place, which is this magical location. But I think there are so many amazing, like artist souls in this town. I feel like this is one of those, I don't want to get woo, but it's like a vortex town, you know? Like people say the place in Sedona. No, this place is magical. Like, how come we meet all these amazing people? Like, how did you end up here? I don't know, we just did. And so I feel like I want opportunities that we can, like, let that magic sparkle between us. That's what I would do.
I second that. Looking forward to being a part of that visioning workshop, and definitely one of the things I always tell people is don't be afraid of whatever your ideas are. They might not actually be that crazy.
Right.
Sometimes, you know, you think it's unaffordable, but there might be a grant program out there. So definitely start formulating those ideas for the workshop.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
I've heard a lot of comments tonight, not only about affordable housing, but also community. I think you first spoke about community in Manchester. And one of the things that I've noticed over the years is a lot of events and happenings that come to this area, to Manchester, are first designed and launched, to Ramsey's point, because we're a destination for the visitor. And I'm wondering if there's an opportunity here, yes, recognizing that we've going back tens of generations, to find that balance of let's do something for the community and the people that live here, and the people that want to come and engage in the event can come and engage in the event. I use the strolling of the heifers as an example in Brattleboro. I've never gone. I've heard about it. I've heard it's a riot. But that was developed for the residents of Brattleboro and the surrounding areas. And now thousands of people from multiple states come every year to that event.
So they ruin it.
I think it's a matter of perspective, right? Right? But the point is that it was first designed, and now it's this huge mega event that brings in people for the destination.
Sorry, I didn't mean that.
No,
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Unfortunately, the strolling of the heifers is over. Ma'am, I'm sorry. What you said was very relevant. My name is Brian Maggiato. I'm a resident of Manchester. My wife and I have one of those beautiful lodging properties here in town. Those events need people to show up. They need all of you to show up. If we don't show up, none of it works. All right, so we want to talk about relying on second homeowners. We want to talk about getting rid of short-term rentals. Those are the folks that are showing up for us right now. They're the reason we can have restaurants open 7 days a week, if we're lucky. But if we don't show up, then we have to rely on the other side. So I look at everybody in the room, and I'm genuinely asking you to show up. All right, we don't want to be reliant on our options tax revenue to subsidize our ability to have all these great things. But until we ourselves can replace it, we have to find the perfect balance. So when we talk about the vision and we talk about what the landscape of Manchester is going to look like down the road, you have to make sure we are finding a balance. All right, I know that there have been some more aggressive stories and narratives shared today with some provocative images on the board, but we've opened our doors a long time ago. And we once again have to find the balance where we can live with both of these things. We have to be members of each one of our assets, whether it's Hildene, the Art Center. Go, buy, show up. Go to your restaurants, spend money. Manchester has, yes, long been a destination for folks. It is also celebrated in Bennington County. I think 30% of our workforce never lived in Vermont in the first place. All right, and that's spread across 17 towns in Bennington County. That includes Bennington itself. We have folks who come from Williamstown, Hoosick, Granville, Salem, Greenwich. They like living in New York too, but they enjoy working here because we've helped them put food on their tables and take care of their families. So let's not get mad at what this town has become, but let's find ways to work within this future vision to make it better. If you want to talk about housing, let's build houses. Let's streamline it, let's fast track it, let's use all these state opportunities, and let's put pads in the ground and buildings on top. They will not look like Hillvale or Carlin Street. These will look different. That was then, this is now. So we just have to be willing to change a little bit, evolve, and grow along with it. If this is regrowth and that's our steward through all this, then it is going to be growth. We have to accept that there will be more people here, and we're going to like every one of them, because they will show up if we show up with them. So thank you all for showing up for this, and I look forward to seeing what happens next.
Thank you.
I want to add to that lady's point and his point. We had the farmers market across from the Mexican place. Nobody went. Nobody ever went to the farmer's market because the parking, this, that, and I was told that we have it there for the tourists. And the farmers would put so much effort into maintaining their wares that nobody was showing up to buying their wares. So little by little, the vendors fell away, and our market just almost disintegrated. Now they moved it over by R.K. Miles Field over there, and this past summer, it's amazing. People started coming again. It's not the perfect spot. There's no trees, it's hot as hell, and there's a hell of a lot of bees, right? Courtney knows how many bees showed up for her donuts. But I think she sold a lot of donuts besides feeding the bees. And so we have to find the right place that people are going to show up for. And that's part of everything that was just said. So yes, that's right.
Thank you.
I want to
We're
add
going
a
to
couple
probably
of
take one or
comments
two
that
more
came in
comments,
through.
then I'm going to probably have to start wrapping up. Sorry, Emily, were you saying something?
Yeah, there's a couple of comments that came through in the chat. I didn't want to miss them.
Okay.
One commenter wanted to caution against putting housing pressure on the private sector to fix the affordable housing issue. She grew up here. She's a single 34-year-old, but the only way she could finally afford to buy and fully restore a home is with the plan of having future short-term rental income. Her parents are seniors. Her dad is now getting too old to work, and they have the option of renting out part of their home to be able to make ends meet. Higher taxes, higher mortgages, and then also the hindrance of making a business out of their home seems like a bit. And then there was another comment about wanting to attract more younger families, needing more support for young families. And examples were finding a pediatrician in town, the challenge of finding a daycare when they all have wait lists, finding prenatal care that accepts insurance, being outside of town, and then activities for kids and young families. And that's all.
Okay. Thank you, Emily. Sorry, go ahead.
Synthesizing a couple of comments that have been made tonight. Gordon mentioned Manchester being a tourist destination. Katie, you mentioned entertainment opportunities. You know, for either non-skiers or people when the skiing is lousy because it's a bad weather day, it would be great if we had a bowling alley or a movie theater or something, other alternative things for them to do that would also give our kids more activities and more choices. And part of that, one of the things that I've seen work in other cities, I had a son who worked down in Key West, which is not a cheap place. And yet, when he was living and working down there, one of the things they offer is most businesses give a discount to locals. Now, whether that's just taking some off your bill or it's a membership that if you live here, you can buy in, is a helpful way to try and make it more affordable for those who actually live here without necessarily worrying about the tourists who are going to come anyway.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to make a quick point about housing since, not surprisingly, that's been a theme this evening. Emily and I have worked in many different communities in the region over the years, and there's a common theme that we've been seeing over the past 10 years, is when you ask a community, what's their most important issue, many of them will say housing affordability and availability. And they'll say that's the top priority. And then when we say, okay, so where should we put it? They say, not here. And it's very depressing in this line of work that every time we propose an area to address the housing issue, there's always that excuse, not here. This isn't the right place. That's not the right place. Where's the right place? In the other town. And I want to point that out to say we can't keep doing that. So just a heads up, I'm going to be hard on this. Okay? So I think there was one or two more people that wanted to speak, and then, yes, sir.
can't speak. I'm Bob Weibel. I used to be good at speaking in front of groups, but haven't done it in a while. Just a couple of things, points I wanted to make, and then back again. I guess we're beating, hopefully not a dead horse, but this thing on affordable housing. I totally agree with Kelb. You know, when houses get built, they're too big. You know, they need to be smaller, much more. You know, for first-time homeowners. I can remember, I moved to Manchester in 1967 at the age of 14. I'm dating myself. I'm old, yes. But at the time we came to Manchester, you know, you could. I mean, price of everything's changed, but there was a lot of small ranch houses, and, you know, small things, and so many have been torn down and built with these big places, and it's too bad. I guess it's a sign of the times. But one thing as I drive around, and I know a lot of people. I work at Hildene, and you know, and I meet a lot of people, but I know a lot of older people around town, and we have so many that are living in these huge houses. And a lot of these big houses, there's one person living in. And I know it's hard to open your doors to someone else, but I also work with a lot of younger people, and we at where I work at Hildene, you know, it really breaks my heart to see and have conversations over lunch or whatever with some of the younger people, and we lose so many of them because really good people that come. But, you know, they're just, you know, trying to pay $2,000 for rent, and, you know, and then you've got groceries and everything else that goes along with what's going on these days. And, you know, they just have to drive for miles to come to work. But I think about all these people, and there's hundreds of them in this area, from here to Dorset, East Dorset, around, that live in houses alone. They may be widowed, they may be divorced, whatever, you know, whatever the situation. But has the town ever thought about putting something together to bring some of these residents that own properties like that in and discussing about maybe some kind of incentives so maybe they could rent a room to a young guy, a young lady who's working in a restaurant, you know, whether it's tax breaks. You know, instead of, you were just talking about building affordable housing, and nobody wants it in their neighborhood, but there's probably 5,000 rooms available around here that possibly could be rented reasonable. It might help that person who's living alone with their thing, but the town give a break so they can do that. And there's a good payoff for that, you know? I mean, if these people, you know, if somebody is living in Granville, or they're living in Cambridge, well, they're buying their groceries there, they're buying their gas there, they're getting their hardware there. If they're living in this town, it's all going to come to businesses here. They're going to go in Courtney's coffee shop. They're going to go, you know, they're going to be in all these businesses. I just think we should try to put our heads together and talk to some of the people that own some of these big old houses, and, you know, just say, can we work something out? And, you know, but the town has to give a little bit too. They have to care about keeping these people, taking care of these people that are serving us in restaurants and working for the town, whatever they're doing, you know.
There's a program called Nesterly that's out of Boston that does that, where an older person will rent part of their house or for a moment or a room, and then they get help, like the younger person might shovel the snow.
And on another subject, just quick on another subject, when I moved here in 1967, every darn business in town was locally owned. And I'm not saying they have to be locally owned, but you talk to business people these days that are starting out to do business, the town is really kind of hard on new business owners. You know, there's an awful lot of regulations, and it's not easy to start a business here. And then these foolish things where you can't even have an open flag outside of your business, you know. The town needs to relax some of that a little bit too. So anyway, I'm done yakking.
Thank you. I think, sorry, we're going to probably have to wrap it up here. I apologize. If you still didn't get a chance to speak, I encourage you to use the comment cards or the comment form online. I thank everyone for coming, and I hope to see more of you in the spring. Thank you, Emily, and everyone online.
You're welcome.